है, पर मुझे लग रहा है कि the full import of those statements has not really been understood. One of the statements he's made is that we are facing, and I'm quoting, quote, we are facing an attack on the basic structure of Indian democracy. In the Constitution, India is defined as a union of states, and that union requires a negotiation. And then he goes on to compare the Indian Union with the European Union. Now, if any individual, a private citizen, goes outside the country or inside the country, he has a freedom to speak. But along with that freedom to speech comes what I call the need to have a sense of responsibility. Now, if you don't understand how the European Union came into being, and I don't want to take your time to highlight how the Treaty of Rome started with 6 countries and others, how the first union was European Coal Community, European Coal and Steel Community. These are sovereign countries which have joined in order to produce, at the end of the day, some kind of a customs union, a tariff union, and where they've even decided to have a common foreign and security policy. These are independent states. To compare that to the Indian states, look, we are the world's largest democracy. On that, there is no doubt. We are the world's oldest democracy. On that also, there is no doubt. But for Mr. Gandhi to go to the United Kingdom and say, in India, Indian democracy is facing an attack on the basic structure. What is the basic structure of a democracy? Number one, freedom of speech, civil liberties, a free press, an independent judiciary. Which of these constituent components which make up Indian democracy is saying that they are under attack? The free press, I mean, I am a very proud member of the Indian legislature. I see the press having a field day criticizing the government through print media, through electronic media, through social media. And I think the relationship between the media and the political system, many members of the media ecosystem take great delight in taking credits, taking advertisements from parties which are in opposition to the party, and they give them free play. I have never seen any constraints being placed on anyone. And then he goes on to say, a judiciary. I just saw a participation by very eminent members of the judiciary, including those occupying the highest positions in the judicial system. They say we are under no pressure. In any case, even if they were to say that there is a healthy interactive process going on between the judiciary and the government, there are certain things the government feels, and I believe rightly so, that in a separation between the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, I mean, the executive has a role to play. Now, if the judiciary encroaches on that, it's our right to say that. But are they under any pressure? On the contrary, we have the judiciary pronouncing on how state systems are to be run. So I think anyone who suggests, even as a private citizen, that Indian democracy is under threat, I think requires serious introspection. But when somebody who is associated, is regarded as the leader of the main opposition party, I mean, they don't have the 10% to be, he can't be called leader of opposition, but still, it is the largest party. I mean, if you look at sheer numbers, to go around and say that Indian democracy is under brutal attack, what is the objective? He's saying, all of you, the ones I am speaking to, the audience I'm reaching out to, which is what? United Kingdom, United States. And he doesn't realize there are enough mavericks there who on their own will make statements without understanding what India is. He turns around and says, "Aap kuch kariye." What is he asking for? He's asking for the democratic processes in the United Kingdom to effect change in the Indian Union? Is that what he's doing? It amounts to almost that. Then, a Sikh gentleman gets up there from the audience, or rather he's there, and he says, in Sikhs, minorities are second-class citizens in India. I don't know where he got that from. I mean, I was born in this country 5 years after partition. This country has given me everything that any member of a minority community could. All right, let's leave the Sikhs aside for a moment. He's talking about Sikhs, Christian. Abhi हाल में North East में चुनाव हुए हैं. Many of them have large segments of Christian population. So I don't know what it is about Mr. Gandhi's understanding. It's not just a flawed understanding. Is he playing to an agenda? But he should come clean. And to begin with, I think you need closure, and the closure will only come if he apologizes. And he should apologize categorically, unequivocally. An apology doesn't come in the form of, मैंने ये नहीं कहा, मेरी आपने ये समझ लिया, मैं कह कुछ और रहा था, etc., etc. Let me also, he made another comment, which I think it was during an interactive process. Somewhere he said that at the core of the BJP ideology is cowardice. I don't know what he was implying to say, or what he was trying to say. I mean, we have a situation on our hands where India today has moved from 2014, when we were the 9th largest economy, to being the 5th largest economy now. And we've enjoyed it because we replaced a country which was 190 years, subjecting us to colonial dominance. We are going to very soon to be the 4th largest economy. We have a country in which if you saw the Honorable Prime Minister's reeling off some basic statistics at the India Today conclave, what did you see? India is a success story in every form. Some time ago, somebody produced some report here and there and said, do this, and the talk of regulatory oversight. Where are banks failing? I'm not going into that sector, but if you cannot draw pride and a sense of satisfaction from the successes of our people, look at what he says about China. I mean, I am very clear that he's entitled to his view, but one of the things which he is fascinated by is the BRI, the Belt Road Initiative of China, and he hails that as a visionary, step. Does he realize that this BRI process here goes through the China-Pakistan Economic Corridor, which is CPEC, which is Pakistan-occupied Kashmir? Does he realize that? That is Indian. I mean, if he aspires to leadership in India, he should at least know what is Indian territory. Several other things he said. But what gets which I am completely surprised about, is his fixation on there being no democracy in India. Look, I am 71 years old. There has been only one occasion in our history when civil liberties and freedom of speech were completely eliminated, and that was in June 1975. After that, I don't think we have gone down that road. What is democracy? Whether you are a union of states, I want to use his words and the Constitution's word, it's a relationship between the center and the states. On how many occasions did a Congress government at the center invoke Article 356 in order to suspend and dismiss legitimately elected state governments? Most of you are aware of the figure. I think should be close to 1,000 times. His own grandmother invoked 356, I think at least 50 times. This gentleman took an oath as a member of parliament, and that oath has some very clear language in it. Very clear language in it. I find his personal attacks require at least two comments. One, what has his party been associated with? I cited to you 1975, the imposition of the emergency, but there's another one I want to cite to you, where in the year 2009, Section 66A was inserted in the Indian Information Technology Act by the Manmohan Singh government, threatening citizens with punishment for sending messages and mails. 1975 की बात कर रहा हूं और उसके बाद 2009 तक मैं लाया हूं आपको. और जब इन्होंने सेक्शन 66 से इंसर्ट करने की कोशिश की, this was struck down by the Supreme Court in 2015 in the famous Shri Hardeep Singh case. So here you're talking about democracy being in threat when your own family history, what you have done in the Congress party in terms of suspending civil liberties, curtailing freedom of speech in 1975. Now I could go on, etc. Baki, you take the other examples. A journalist from a prominent channel is bullied into submission when his party was in power in Maharashtra. I have so many other examples, but I'm going to stop here because मुझे लगता है we have a time this thing, and you have many other stories to comment. Also, if you have any questions, I'm always happy.
Will Parliament functions, or will you again press for
This is absolutely a call that he has to make. He should apologize unambiguously, because you know he goes and has a press. मैंने ये नहीं कहा था, मैंने वो नहीं कहा था, इसकी अरे भाई say मेरे से गलती हो गई, I apologize. I think from my understanding is that will pave the way and facilitate a functioning of
Parliament.
Parliament.
It doesn't, because Congress is very much adamant. Congress is saying what he has said has it's absolutely nothing. It's not wrong at all.
What he said is not wrong.
Yes, this is what the Congress.
I mean, I gave you many things which I have picked up from his, wisdom which he has espoused in the UK. Which of this is correct? And by the way, I think his tutor also needs to provide a qualification. Somewhere he said, unfortunately for me, that I am a member of Parliament. So there was a gentleman sitting next to him who sometimes behaves as his tutor. He said, don't say for me, for you. Now, I am a member of Parliament. I'm very proud to be a member of Parliament. I've had a life earlier also. I've drawn great professional satisfaction from that life. But you feel unfortunate that you're a member of Parliament? Shouldn't be that fortunately, because of my family history, I'm also a member of Parliament. I don't know what he was trying to say. Now, Parliament's functioning, if he thinks unfortunately that for him that he's a member of Parliament, or unfortunately, as the other gentleman said, for you that I'm a member of Parliament, pata nahi, I don't know. I think we should get a clarification on who's fortunate or who's unfortunate. But these kinds of antics are very unfortunate for Parliament, that you have people like this who claim to be associated with a history, with a contribution to the independence of India, and then go and make these absurd statements.
Mamta Banerjee has said that BJP wants to make Rahul Gandhi a leader. They want to keep Rahul Gandhi at center stage because it suits BJP. In fact, she also says that Rahul Gandhi is Narendra Modi's biggest TR.
देखिए, मैंने भी वो ममता जी की स्टेटमेंट देखी है, पर मैंने उनको उन सुर्खियों में देखी है स्टेटमेंट. आई हैव नॉट सीन द फुल स्टेटमेंट, सो आई कांट. But there are other people who are saying that political parties should draw up their assets and liabilities list. And all I can say is, I don't think Rahul Gandhi makes these statements after consulting us. When he goes to the UK, I don't think he was in touch with any one of us. In fact, he has decided to make a statement whether he wants to be, whose TRP ratings are being affected. There's a counterpoint of view that when he makes a statement like this, he gets a lot of oxygen. I mean, after all, this is a lovely morning and I'm beginning to spend a time with you before giving you a cup of tea, but which will also come. But so I think these are questions which Mr. Gandhi has to offer. Now, is the opposition all in one? I mean, look, the citizens of India are very mature. The ones which come into Parliament have absolute, experience, the wealth of experience, wealth of wisdom. Not many people would want to associate with this. But for anyone to suggest that he's doing it at our bidding, that I'm afraid I will have to take issue with that. I mean, if somebody makes a statement and at the end of the day, I have to call you in the morning and request you, etc., and I'm actually taken the thing. He's spoken against the minorities. He has spoken against Indian democracy. He's spoken against the basic structure. He's spoken against you all, against the press, that you are not free. अरे आप सुबह से लेकर रात तक तो यू राइट व्हाट, एंड इफ इट कम्स टू द नैरेटिव, हु इंट्रोड्यूस्ड द डिस्कोर्स ऑन अ श्रिल नेगेटिव नैरेटिव? यू वांट मी टू गिव यू हिस्ट्री? कहां से ये शुरू हुआ था? मौत के सौदागर, ये वो, ऑल दिस स्टार्टेड. दिस इज this gentleman's calling, and as I said, unless he apologizes, at least my advice to my party would be, he has to unambiguously apologize.
Sir, you are saying that he has to apologize, while the Congress party says that he has not said anything wrong and he will not apologize. But how exactly this deadlock in the parliament will come to an end? Also,
I'll tell you something. Again, it's not my calling, I'll be very frank, but I saw my senior colleague, the Honorable Home Minister, answer that question. He said, you would sit down with the speaker and, I'm just quoting the Home Minister. I'm not, I don't have a plan. It's not my call. I'm not the Parliamentary Affairs Minister. Hanji.
Sir, कांग्रेस पार्टी ये कह रही है कि कल दिल्ली पुलिस के कुछ ऑफिसर्स जो है वो राहुल गांधी के घर गए थे. सरकार जो है राहुल गांधी को डराने का प्रयास करे, लेकिन राहुल गांधी है, सावरकर नहीं है. तो एक बार फिर सावरकर को नीचा दिखाने का प्रयास.
देखिए पहले तो टू गेट एन एस टू रन अ हॉर्सेस रेस, अब इसके मैंने अंग्रेजी में कुछ कहा, इसको समझ लीजिए. कहाँ सावरकर जी और कहाँ ये, छोड़ दीजिए इन चीज़ों को. मैं को एक सीधी सी बात बताता हूँ. दिल्ली पुलिस क्यों गई? ना मैं दिल्ली पुलिस के साथ डील करता हूँ, ना मैं उसकी भारत तोड़ो यात्रा पे उसके साथ था. पर आपको मैं एक चीज़ बताता हूँ. ही मेड सम स्टेटमेंट दैट सम वुमेन हैड कम टू हिम and said that they had been sexually assaulted, or even used a stronger word than that. Now, if you understand our laws, my understanding for a long time has been that this is a very serious charge. If somebody has been so assaulted, then somebody is obliged to take cognizance. And once that cognizance is taken, the rest follows in automatic fashion. So, if you don't take cognizance, then I think the concerned commission would be wrong. If you take cognizance, then somebody has to go and say, भाई साहब आपने ये स्टेटमेंट की है. अगर आप इस कमरे के बाहर जाके किसी के बारे कुछ स्टेटमेंट कर देते हो, और आज सोशल मीडिया आप कह रहे हो कॉन्स्टेंट है, मुझे तो लगता है इतनी फ्रीडम किसी दुनिया में किसी देश में नहीं है. आप एकदम फटाफट कोई चार्ज इधर का होगा उधर का होगा, पहुंच जाएगी इधर, फिर क्या होगा उसके बाद? यू हैव टू इंक्वायर. सो समबडी इज आस्किंग हिम. So I don't know, what did he say? कि कुछ 10 दिन के बाद बताएंगे?
Yes, short time, sir, for 7 to 8 days.
8 to 10 days.
But he will then jog his memory to find out who told him. No, which is fair enough. But once he provides the information. So I think democracy is a beautiful system where everyone is given equal opportunity in order to be able to. But if you run down the country, what really got my goat was, he said, India is a union of states and it requires negotiation. Whom do you want to negotiate? You want to dismantle the country? That is the issue. When there were certain parts of the country, what is in India now, there was an instrument of accession. They joined certain parts, some princely states. He wants to open it, requires negotiation. No, I am appalled at some of these statements.
Sir, one question regarding the state of Punjab. The situation seems to be turning out of the hand. Amrit Pal has now been declared as fugitive. How do you see this?
I think you're touching on a very important subject that will require a separate press conference, and I'm sure. I spent 39 years as a civil servant. One thing I don't do is to tell you how to run your newspaper or comment on another ministry's this thing. You're absolutely right. There is a lot of prime time which is.
राहुल गांधी माफी मांगने को तैयार नहीं, आप लोग उनकी माफी पे खड़े हुए हैं. कंक्लूजन क्या देखते हैं? वो लोग तो मांगे नहीं, आप लोग लगातार इस तरह प्रोटेस्ट करते रहे या कोई और लंबा प्लान है?
किस चीज का प्लान?
माफी मांगेंगे?
अरे भाई साहब, ऐसा है. आप ये तय कर लीजिए कि जो माननीय राहुल जी ने कहा है यूनाइटेड किंगडम में जाके, अगर वो लाइट चीज को ना, ही इज आस्किंग फॉर द डिसमेंटलिंग ऑफ इंडिया, ही इज आस्किंग फॉर रेजिम चेंज इन इंडिया. यहाँ पे हम उनके जो भारत के वोटर है उनके साथ तो उनकी दाल गल नहीं रही. ठीक है, दोनों हाउसेज में मिला के जो आंकड़ा 100 पे नहीं पहुंचता. ओके, फिर यूके जाके कह रहे हैं और कैम्ब्रिज में जाके कह रहे हैं माइनॉरिटीज की हालत बड़ी खराब है, डेमोक्रेसी इज अंडर थ्रेट इंडिया. क्या उनके वोटर को यहाँ लाएंगे? नहीं, बस समझ नहीं आ रही. अब आप अगर आप सजेस्ट करेंगे हम इसको लाइट लेने और चलने दे. भाई साहब, मैं समझता हूं कभी कभी ये लक्ष्मण रेखा जो होती है ना, ऑन फंडामेंटल्स, where it comes to the unity and integrity of an India, if a political leader is hell-bent on questioning that, I think he needs to apologize.
Sir.
Period. I think...
Sir, just one last question, sir.
uh,
So when you talked about Mamata Banerjee talking about Rahul Gandhi, well, the way she said that is also a hint that clearly the TMC and the SP also, because Akhilesh Yadav was also there, have their equidistant from the Congress party. They've completely rejected Congress as a part of the alliance that they.
Are you surprised? Are you surprised? मैंने बहुत समय पहले एक प्रेस कॉन्फ्रेंस की थी, जब बहुत निंदा हो रही थी कि जब हम ये सेंट्रल विस्टा प्रोजेक्ट करने जा रहे हैं, वहाँ ग्रीन कवर कम हो जाएगा, जामुन के पेड़ उखाड़े जाएंगे, और 106 पढ़े लोगों ने एक कोई स्टेटमेंट साइन की, क्योंकि ये माना जाता है कि पुरानी पार्लियामेंट बिल्डिंग वो इट इज़ अनलकी देयरफॉर यू नो समथिंग. तो उस समय मैंने क्या कहा? मैंने कहा भाई ये बड़े सीनियर लोग हैं, ये कैबिनेट सेक्रेटरी रह चुके हैं, विदेश सचिव रह चुके हैं, अब मैं क्या करूं इनके जो पढ़े लिखे. और फिर मैंने कुछ शब्द इस्तेमाल किया, मूर्ख है. और मैंने भी कहा 3 कैटेगरी के होते हैं, साधारण ऑर्डिनरी, असाधारण एक्स्ट्राऑर्डिनरी, और चक्रवर्ती क्लास. मैंने कहा ये चक्रवर्ती क्लास वो लगते हैं. तो मैं अब क्या बोलूं? पॉलिटिकल लीडर, जो पार्टी का लीडर है, ऑब्वियसली दे विल लुक एट द फ्यूचर ऑफ देयर ओन पार्टी. व्हाई वुड दे वांट टू एसोसिएट विद दिस काइंड ऑफ statement which made, and then if you project him as a leader of a combined opposition, तो नहीं होगा. But thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Sir, that emergency has been 100 times.
1000 times बोला मैंने. हाँ, but 100 ठीक है. 50 times उन्होंने किया. अच्छा कोई बात नहीं, वो करेक्शन वो कर देना.
One News, the news web leader. You expose